The bride ran barefoot across the hotel driveway in full daylight, silk and lace tangled around her knees, mascara streaked by tears, breath breaking like she was escaping a fire. Guests inside were raising champagne glasses under crystal chandeliers, unaware that a life was unraveling just outside the doors. She nearly collided with R.F. Malik, a single dad wiping fingerprints from a shuttle van, and in that frozen second he saw something deeper than panic in her eyes. He saw a woman choosing survival over spectacle. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of strangers showing up at the right moment, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Life Spark Stories. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. RF had learned to notice fear early. After losing his wife to illness, mornings were a careful choreography of packing lunches, braiding his daughter's hair, and clocking in before the sun climbed too high. He cleaned vehicles for a luxury hotel not because it paid well, but because it kept him close to daytime hours and close to home. That afternoon, the sun was bright and unforgiving, and the bride's distress cut through the polished calm of valet whistles and rolling suitcases. Arev didn't ask questions that cornered her. He didn't demand explanations. He simply offered shade, water, and space, the way he wished the world had offered him when grief once pressed him flat. The bride's name was Serafina Vale, though the tabloids knew her as something colder and shinier. She had built an empire young, inherited none of it, and learned early how applause could drown out a voice inside begging to be heard. The wedding was meant to seal alliances, soothe boards, and satisfy a future she no longer recognized as her own. Standing there in the daylight, she felt small and brave all at once, terrified of the fallout and more terrified of staying. Arev saw the way her hands shook and recognized the cost of walking away from expectations heavier than any gown. He helped her into the van, not as an accomplice to scandal but as a guardian of a human moment. The city slid by in clean, sunlit frames as Serafina stared out the window, her reflection flickering between glass and sky. Arev thought of his daughter, Mira, waiting for him after school, of the life he rebuilt with careful steps and fewer promises. He understood that starting over wasn't a luxury reserved for the rich. It was a choice paid for with courage. When Serafina asked to be taken somewhere quiet, he chose a riverside park where lunchtime joggers passed without curiosity, and the water held steady, patient, and bright. Under a tree casting generous shade, Serafina breathed again. She spoke of being admired and unheard, of contracts mistaken for commitments, of how daylight sometimes makes truth unavoidable. Arev didn't fix her problems. He listened, the way listening itself can be an act of rescue. In return, he shared less but enough, the outline of loss and the promise he made to his daughter to be present no matter how hard the day. Two lives, wildly different in scale, met on equal ground. The fallout came quickly. Phones buzzed. Headlines sharpened. Security teams fanned out. Arev returned the van and his job with a knot in his chest, prepared for consequences he could not afford. Instead, days later, a letter arrived addressed in careful handwriting. Serafina had stepped away from the wedding and from the machinery that built it. She had placed her company into trust, taken leave, and started a foundation focused on quiet exits, on helping people leave harmful situations without spectacle. Enclosed was a check meant not as gratitude but as respect, paired with a note that named Arev's dignity as the reason she found her own. Arev didn't become wealthy overnight. He paid debts, fixed the leaky sink, and enrolled Mira in art classes she loved. More importantly, he felt seen. Serafina didn't vanish into myth either. She learned to live smaller and truer, volunteering in daylight where faces mattered more than headlines. Sometimes they met by the river, two adults rebuilding in parallel, trading progress like postcards from a gentler future. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that one kind choice can redirect an entire life, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories so more moments like this can find their way to others. Special request: please comment below and tell us which moment stayed with you the most.